If you're a passenger on Southern Rail, you want to hear what Richard Westcott has to tell us some breaking news.
Well, it looks like they've done a deal to end the strike with which the Aslef union, the drivers, basically have been carrying out. So we haven't got the details of the deal yet, but we've been told there's something coming along at about 3:30, a press conference. We're all going to go along. You don't do that unless you've made a deal. This is obviously, the longest running industrial dispute since privatisation. The drivers joined it recently. Before that, it was the conductors, and it's all about the role of this second person on the train, this conductor. Do they have to be safety trained? Do you always have to have two people on a train every time it moves? It's been so nasty, this dispute. It looks like a breakthrough.
Yeah, it's been very bloody, hasn't it? And Aslef has got involved. Where was the room for compromise, do you think?
Well, that's a critical question, and we don't know, because when I was looking at this and people were saying to me, is there any end in sight? It was hard to see where there was, because there are either two people on a train, every single train, trained up to a certain level, or there aren't. It's not like a pay dispute where you can sort of meet in the middle. It was very hard to see where the middle ground was. And also things had got pretty nasty between the two sides. I mean, talking to Aslef people, talking to drivers, talking to senior managers, it seemed to be disintegrating, but the TUC's got involved. Bit of a coup for them, and it looks like they've actually come up with some kind of deal.
But, and there is always a but on these things, that doesn't mean at this stage things are going back to normal, though, does it?
No, and normal, frankly, isn't very good for Southern customers. Because they have all sorts of other problems they were dealing with. Network Rail is responsible for half the problems on the Southern network, and a lot of that's engineering. It's nothing to do with this, and there's a driver shortage as well. But the strikes that brought the whole thing to a standstill, the driver strikes, potentially this ends those. The conductors for the RMT union, different union involved, as far as I know, as far as we know, that's still going on. But when they go on strike, only about 30% of services are cut. So the really debilitating strikes from the drivers, it looks like they're over. And there are bigger implications here, because this issue is going to crop up all over the country when they're bringing in new trains. They want to do this on most of the new franchises as they come along. So there was the threat of strikes all across Britain. We'll see what the deal is, and we'll see if it sticks. But for now, some good news anyway.
Now, it's funny, although not funny that you should say that, because as you speak, we're just seeing that workers on Merseyrail are to be balloted for industrial action in a dispute over the role of guards, says the RMT. Is this more of the same?
More of the same. Interestingly, it's a Labour administration there using public money to buy new trains. And they've said, look, we're not going to, get rid of guards' jobs, but these will be trains where the driver only is operating those trains. They're not coming along until 2018. So that one's been brewing. There's one, Arriva North as well. It's a very similar issue. That one's been brewing. They had a similar issue in Scotland. They found a resolution there. So it's going to keep coming along as the more modern trains are bought, and they are trains which are designed just for the driver, to work the doors, to operate all the systems, rather than an onboard guard. So we'll see what happens up north. It'll be interesting to see how this deal penetrates around the country, and if it just takes the sting out of the whole issue, or if it's just a temporary resolution and it keeps cropping up elsewhere.
I'm going to let you go. You need to get there. Richard, thank you. Thanks. Don't take the train. Thank you, Richard.